Good afternoon and welcome. My name's Sandra Broome-Edwards, and I'm going to be doing a very informal discussion and overview on the I Am Discourses. So how many of you have heard of Saint-Germain? Oh, so this is not a novice audience. Okay, well, what about the I Am Discourses? How many of you are familiar with that? Okay. All right, well, I'm going to start out with a brief opening prayer. Creator, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for this gathering. Let the information and the wisdom that is passed on today be used to edify our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. And may we use this information to further enlighten the world and ourselves. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Okay, you got a handout there, and I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit of the history of Saint-Germain for those who may not be as familiar with him. He's one of the ascended masters now, and I'll warn you in advance. There may be some things that I discuss or talk about today that may sound odd or wacky or off kilter. So I'd ask you to keep an open mind about the information that's going to be discussed. I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm just sharing with you information that I've come across. So it's information for you to use at your leisure, at your will, just so that it's out there. But like I said, some of it may sound like something that's really far-fetched, but just keep an open mind. So we're all familiar with Saint-Germain, but okay, now this was working a minute ago. Michael, would you advance that slide for me? Well, Saint-Germain is a mysterious, legendary figure. For a long time, I didn't think, when they talked about Saint-Germain, the first thing I thought about was Saint Bernard, the first time I heard his name mentioned. And I was really curious as to what a dog could do for anybody. And I mean, really, that's how my brain heard that. It was, but they were talking about Saint-Germain, but this was early on my journey into spiritual teachings. So I was not familiar with it at all. Now, the I Am presence is one of the things that the ascended master Saint-Germain edified and talked about and supposedly channeled the works that are in the I Am Discourses to Guy Bullard and his wife, Ida. And are you all familiar with channeling? Oh. Okay. Well, he, in 32, but he started over a course of, it took him they said it took them 30 years to prepare themselves to receive the information that Saint-Germain channeled through them. But these works, these teachings were channeled to them, Guy Bullard and his wife. Now, he wrote under a pseudonym, Alfred K. Right, let me make sure I get it right. It's on your, I think it's on your slide, on one of your slides. But he used a pseudonym to protect his family and to protect some other things. Because can you imagine back in the 30s, you talking about channeling things, how persecuted you may be. Now, Saint-Germain was quite a character himself. The character, I mean, the ascended master that channeled this information through. He lived in the 1700s, and he said that he was immortal. He would not die. I mean, he was supposedly a prince. He was several different characters, according to him, in his life, including Francis Bacon and Merlin the magician, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. But from the accounts that were listed about his life, he was a very eccentric appearing character to the people of that time. But they invited him to pretty much every social affair that people could get him to come to. He was a very accomplished musician. He spoke multiple languages. And he could speak about things that had not occurred but did occur. But they just considered him an oddball at the time that he was actually on this physical plane. And later on, when this information was channeled to the Ballards, there were multiple organizations. I mean, this is like worldwide, the I Am activity councils or groups that meet. They meet around the world. And I don't know how many of you have heard of Edgar Cayce. Oh, yeah. Well, Edgar Cayce was a big student of the I Am activities. And even in the Bible, when it talks about I am that I am, these are the principles that are taught in the I Am discourses, but it's information that came through. There were in the third book, and there are, I think, 21 books in the series. They call them the Green Books, that were channeled to the Ballards. This one, book 3, the one that we are going to kind of go through, I think I pretty much covered who he was, who Saint-Germain was. And he was an alchemist, lots of things. But just imagine the weirdest cousin that you have coming to lunch or dinner, but a very enjoyable weird cousin. And the book 3 goes through the I Am discourses, or the I Am principles that were channeled. I will be honest, I have not delved into the other books other than book 5, and that's just briefly through some of the members of a group that we belong to that have the book. So we get to teachings from that book in conjunction with the I Am discourses. Let me see if this is going to work for me now. Now it decides to go backwards because I'm pushing the wrong button. I'm going to channel somebody in a minute. Okay, so you're familiar with the term I am that I...
It came up.
Okay.
It's in book 3.
The I Am discourses. These I Am discourses were like I said, the teachings that were channeled in the 1930s by Guy Ballard, and his pen name was Godfrey Ray King, if I didn't get that right before. And it focuses on the teachings received from Saint-Germain and other ascended masters, because Saint-Germain was not the only ascended master. He does a lot of channeling of information that are interpretations of what Jesus was teaching when he was on the earth. Now, Jesus was considered an ascended master. So if I'm offending anybody, I apologize in advance. Please don't be. Like I said, I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm just giving and sharing information with you. But ascended masters are typically entities that have been on this planet, lived a life, and have ascended or transitioned to the other side. Some people call them guides, but they're not. Guides are just that. They're just regular human beings that have transitioned and then come back to assist and guide you. Ascended masters are enlightened or very highly spiritual beings that have transitioned, but they do things similarly to the guides, but instead of having one person that they're guiding or assisting, ascended masters assist humanity on this planet. And based on the teachings as to how they came to this planet, now this is where I'm saying keep your minds open. Don't look at me like I've sprouted horns or something. But they have come from different planets to this particular planet, and depending upon what planet they came from, those may be the characteristics of the planet that they're assisting with. How many of you have heard of the 7 rays? Okay, pretty much everyone here. Okay, so if you're familiar with the 7 rays, the ascended master, Saint-Germain, was associated with the 7th ray, which is the ray that rules the era of Aquarius. Now, supposedly July 1st, 1952, we shifted from the age of Pisces into the beginning of the age of Aquarius. Jesus was the ascended master for 2,000 years in the age of Pisces. Sixth ray. The seventh ray is in place now, and Saint-Germain is the ascended master that is associated with that seventh ray. You've heard us talk about the violet flame here. Well, the color that's associated with that seventh ray, and I know it's a blank screen up there, isn't it?
Here we go.
Okay. The color that's associated with the seventh ray is violet, purple, which in turn is where we get a lot of the information. Well, the violet flame. The violet flame is mentioned throughout the discourses that were channeled from Saint-Germain through the Goddards, the Ballards. I keep wanting to call him Neville Goddard, but that's another teacher on another day. But that's some of the background as well. Jackie has done some wonderful teachings on the violet flame, but all of these things connect and are interconnected. So Saint-Germain is the ascended master associated with the seventh ray, the color violet and purple. So through the discourses, you'll hear invoking the violet flame and different affirmations and statements. But the I am, those three letters are the most important letters, I think, out of the 26 in the alphabet. The I, the A, and the M. Just three small letters, but they are the most powerful letters in the alphabet, because I am, and anything you put behind that is, you're telling the universe, God, spirit, creator, whatever you want to call it, you're putting it out there into the ethers that this is so, and it will be, depending upon the intent and the emotion. And we do it without even thinking about it. I mean, I'm constantly having discussions with people in my family when they tell me I am sick, I am whatever they're claiming, and associating with those three letters. The I am presence is the core teachings revolve around the recognition and invocation of the I am presence, the divine aspect within each and every one of us. I don't care what race, what creed, what color, what sexuality you are, what continent you may reside on, whether you want to accept it or not. It's like the law of gravity. You all have an I am presence. Jackie?
Before you go on, could we back up a minute and talk about what an ascended master is?
Sure.
Could you say that an ascended master was a human being at one time, and he or she is more evolved now? They have reached a higher level of evolution.
Right. When I said enlightened, I was trying to give the difference between a guide and an ascended master. They've all transitioned to the other side of the veil, but they've lived in a physical being. Difference between a guide. A guide could be a regular person or human that's come back to assist you individually, or a human in their journey through this life wave. An ascended master is someone that lived in a physical human experience, but they were more enlightened, more evolved, and then when they, in turn, come back, typically they're not coming back just to assist one person, not that they don't, they're more broadly associated with humanity. They are here to assist humanity in the next step of their spiritual evolution and their growth and ascension. Okay, so I just wanted to give that parallel, because I know a lot of people are familiar with guides and they'll say, well, this is my spirit guide or whatever. So I didn't want to get the ascended masters and guides confused, because at one point I was confused about that. So things that have confused me, I try to help people go through that confusion, or maybe even confuse them more. But anyway, that's how I associate them. Ascended master, principal, guide, student.
Sandra, we could say that one day we will be ascended
Yes.
masters.
Yes. Can you imagine me being an ascended master?
Yes.
But I intend to aspire. That is my goal. But being more evolved spiritually is what gives you that aspect. And I did point out the fact that Jesus is considered an ascended master. I mean, Christian Church wanted to put the entire everything on his body as the basis of Christianity, but he came back as he was an ascended master that was here to assist humanity in their evolution. And he constantly reminded, well, in what I could hear in the scriptures once I started listening to him and paying attention, he didn't come to be your savior. He came to show you that the things that I do, you can do also, and greater. But Saint-Germain, like I said, he was an odd duck, or considered to be an odd duck by society, because in the 1700s, some of the things that he claimed and was doing were very odd to people and different. One of the main things he did as far as alchemy, it's similar to what Jesus did with the water, turning it to wine. He used to take gems and crystals and stones, and he could merge them together to make larger crystals, bigger stones. One of the kings actually gave him a factory that they had, and it was lying dormant because of his alchemy abilities. Back then it was like he could take different colors and associate them with cloth and material, but the colors were so much richer than anything they were ever able to produce. So this factory that produced cloth or material was actually where he spent his last days on this planet, and it was gifted to him by one of the kings to actually produce those things. Just reading about his life in general, it was interesting in itself, and I can imagine that if that particular entity were to present itself to me and start talking, even in this day and time, I would be like, what? You say you can do what? But he claimed immortality, was able to actually give instances from previous lives, and that's why they say that Merlin was one of the people that he was in a previous life, and very creative characters. When I was looking through some of the music that was associated with his compositions, as well as written works, I mean, I was just astounded. He was a musical genius, and like I said, quite the linguist as well. He didn't speak English as well, but apparently there was a time in his life that he was starting to pick it up, and he could speak it somewhat. But the other languages of the time, he was quite fluent in them. But any questions about Saint-Germain? Okay.
Not a question, but I was kind of curious as what was the difference between an ascended master and the Great White Brotherhood?
Okay, and I'm glad you brought that up, Karen, because the first time I opened a green book and saw Great White Brotherhood, I said, I ain't reading about the Ku Klux Klan. I do not want to hear about them. And I asked Jackie, why are we reading this thing from a Great White Brotherhood? Isn't that the Klan? And they had to explain to me quite calmly and show me, because I was not having it. The Great White Brotherhood is the term that's used to define the Great Brotherhood of Light. I mean, white light is considered one of the highest frequencies, and so these people are associated with white light. So they're considered the Great White Brotherhood. And when this was written, it was, I think, before the Klan ever came to be. And they could have probably used verbiage that didn't or doesn't trigger, but it is something that if you see it in one of the books, it would be like, for me, I thought it was off-putting, but that's what it means. They're associated with the Great White Light. So in some teachings, they're referred to as the Great White Brotherhood, and some others as the Great White Hope, which, like I said, all of those terms for me were like, no. But now that I understand, it's associated with white light. Any other questions? Does that answer your question, Karen?
Oh, no, wasn't question. I want to know what the difference was, and supposedly what I read, it indicated all ascended masters are in the Great White, but all the Great White Brotherhood are not all ascended masters, because they're not necessarily all from Earth. Where the ascended masters are all been on Earth.
Well, if you are an evolved being, some of them have not been to Earth yet. And if you're associated with white light, and I'm going to say galactically, not just here, but galactically, that white light, some of the same things that, the things that we're learning little snippets about are things that are not just associated with the planet Earth. So if you're in that Great White Brotherhood, it may not be called that in some other realm or whatever, but if you've evolved and you're at a place of evolution that you're a higher spiritual being, you would be associated in that Great White Brotherhood, referring to the white light, but you may not be an ascended master. Okay. Now, an ascended, I'll put it this way, the way I see it. Now, it may not be right, but this is how I interpret it. If I'm an ascended master and I'm in that group, I'm going to be assigned some purpose, either on Earth or another planet, that I go back to assist the life forms in that area with. So, okay. The ascended masters that have come back to Earth, Jesus being one of them, they came with a specific purpose to help humanity on that planet. If I'm in that Great White Brotherhood and I'm not assigned a planet or a area to go work with humanity in that area, I'm still a member of that group, but my purpose is not one to go back and assist planetary life. Does that help clear it up? Or does it make it more confusing? Y'all, don't be ashamed to say, oh no, Sandra, you confused me more, because by the time I leave from up here, I may be real confused. Now, so we know who Saint-Germain is. We know that the I Am Discourses are what he channeled in book 3. Like I said, there are 21 of these books, and they're referred to as the green books. And honestly, if you've not encountered the green books, just in reinforcing that I am presence within each one of us, because I forget. I mean, I really do forget that I am. So being reminded of those things is very helpful. Plus the fact that what I've read through these teachings, every one of the people who either have embraced or actually as ascended masters come back, when they grasp the full effect of what these I am principles can and do evoke, they've been very either successful or prophetic in certain ways. Like I said, I know you've all raised your hands that you're familiar with Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce was a very avid student of the I am activity. A lot of the things that Edgar Cayce was able to do and see were directly associated with his embracing the I am activity, because technically the I am activity and presence is pretty much everything that governs and rules how we walk through this life way. A lot of people don't want to talk about that because it said that, you know, I had my cousin tell me that it was blasphemous. And I was like, okay, you can call it what you may, because even if you call gravity not existent, we're still sitting in this chair. So I am, and those principles are. In the I Am Presence, the core teaching revolves around the recognition and invocation of the I Am Presence. This divine aspect within each person is seen as the source of all life, wisdom, and power. By affirming statements such as, I am health, I am abundance, and I am love, individuals align themselves with these divine qualities, transforming their consciousness and reality. And I might add that all of the I am activities are based on the principle of love, okay? And I say that as a disclaimer because there are, and how do I put this? There are some groups that you may run into and encounter that are doing similar things, but not all of what they're doing is based around love. So be very mindful when you, because there are people, I mean, energies of a lower frequency, I'll put it that way, they're very smart and they know about the I Am Presence and certain things. So you may hear things weaved into certain teachings that appear to be of the I Am nature, but they're helping to evolve, I would say, lower energies. Some people refer to it as dark magic. So just be, I want to be little Mary Sunshine and say that none of that stuff exists, but I would be lying to myself. So you have to be aware. As a roaring, lying Roman, seeking who he may devour. When those scriptures are, that scripture means just that. We have to be mindful, be discernful when you get involved with things that appear to be one thing. Make sure that it is actually that. And that's why I guess I embraced this when I found out that the teachings are based purely around the energy of love. Anything less than love is not associated. Now, Jackie and Valoris and some of these people that have walked this path a lot longer than I have, if they're interjecting questions to help me, because they've been doing this stuff a lot longer. I'm a novice at it. Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question, but I'm thinking maybe we could simplify the I am by saying that it is what the traditional religions call God, or source, the source of all.
Okay, what she said.
I was actually looking for Sandra, and I don't remember which chapter it's in, but one of the chapters that was channeled by Jesus.
And I mentioned a little bit earlier that Saint-Germain, a lot of the messages that he brought through and channeled, he would talk about Jesus and what Jesus said in it. And in one of the other books, Jesus as an ascended master did interact with the Ballards in channeling some things as well.
So what I was wanting to say about that is that in my talking with some people who are in more traditional churches, that are in some of the more traditional churches, we had a discussion about Jesus and what those churches were teaching the hatred, as if we're not in that narrow category. And what was in this book was Jesus channeling. When I said, I am the truth, the way, and the life, I meant the I am is the way, the truth, and the life. And so my friend started teaching Sunday school at his church from that part of that. And I just think that that kind of helps keep me centered on what this is really all about, is what the I am is, that mighty I am presence within him, each of us.
Well, yeah, like I said, whether you want to own it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not, all of us, every one of us, no matter that I am presence is there, how we interact with the I am presence is what we're trying to learn, because you can interact with the I am present and miscreate. You can create things in your life that you don't want, because it is a powerful, the I am presence is the most powerful thing on within each one of us and everywhere. Yes.
Does the I am presence get invoked when you're talking about like we are as well, or is it enough to say I am, considering the fact that we're all connected and we're all the same? Like, I'm just wondering, you know, can you invoke a similar presence if you're saying we are?
Not quite. It's I get where you're coming from, because the interconnectivity of us, you would think that if we said we are, it would be the same thing, but it's like, since we're all sparks of one creator, it's that switch, the I part, that turns on. I am. I am for others, but it has to come from your I am presence. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So, because I was concerned about that, and one of the chapters that I read was talking about, if you're worried or concerned about somebody, you can, from your I am presence, invoke things for that person. But I have to remind you again, always in love, okay? Because if you're doing it in that, well, like, there are people that do the same powerful things, but not so much from a place of love, more from a place of control and miscreation. Divine love and healing is one of the second principles of the I Am Discourses. And book 3 out of the 21 books emphasizes the power of divine love and its healing potential. Saint-Germain teaches that love is the highest vibrational frequency and the key to spiritual ascension. Practicing unconditional love both towards oneself and others purifies the soul and heals physical, emotional, and mental ailments. Okay, and that is probably one of the hardest concepts that people are able to embrace. I know that for me, knowing innately that the way we are created and that we have the I am presence, that within me there is the ability to heal any malady, disease, or physical manifestation that may be appearing, not only physical, but within me. And when I say me, every one of us has that ability. But when David talks about the common sense side of us, or I call it the ego, when I am saying I am healed, I am whole, I am healthy, my left knee is going, you telling a lie, Sandra. You're not healed, you're not healthy, you're not whole. But contrary to whatever the outer appearance may be, if you get to a place of ultimate, complete knowing that I am, eventually you will resonate on the frequency of that. And that's what humanity really, I mean, our ego mind and our common sense mind is so developed and strong that when that I am part of us comes up to talk or to speak or to help us move forward, that common sense part of us is constantly pulling us back. No, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not. And that's part of what practicing the I Am Discourses helps to remind. And I mean, I love that word, mind, remind, because our mind wanders to a place that it's not. And when we're reminded of these things, it brings us back to who we are, the truth of who we are. And I am just really stuttering today. One of the third principles is the transmutation and purification. When we invoke the violet flame, you'll hear us use that term transmutation a lot. I mean, because we can in physics, they tell you can't create or destroy energy. And you can't. But we can transmute it from a negative to a positive and that type of thing. Transmutation and purification. The Discourses advocate for the use of the violet flame, a spiritual energy that's associated with Saint-Germain, to transmute negative energies and karma through visualization and invocation. Practitioners can cleanse their auras, release past traumas, and transform lower vibrational energies into higher ones. So as a student of the I Am activities, one of the things that we're charged with doing for humanity as well as ourselves is to take lower vibrational energy and transmute it into higher vibrational energies. Because when you say karma, remember, karma means you're gonna get back whatever you put out. So if you're sending negative energy back to someone or to a situation, it doesn't, the principles that govern all of this don't care or know that you didn't mean to send the negative back. It's like, oh, negative out, negative back in, negative out, negative back in. So whenever you're sending or dealing with a situation that may be of a lower frequency that's affecting you or someone else, transmuting that lower vibration into a higher one is key. Because you didn't put out negative, you transmuted it into a higher frequency, and that's what ultimately comes back to you. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So my grandmama used to say, you reap what you sow, which is true. So that's what that principle means. If you sow negative, you get negative. So before you send an energy back, transmute it. And that word transmute means transform it from the form that it's in and intend it to be higher. Whether it's just dealing with you, a situation, or the world. And there are some political candidates that I'm learning to transmute the energy that's associated with me when it goes out. I can't do that. And I mean, I sometimes want to, but even in dealing with my thought processes where the political situations are concerned, transmuting it to positive and knowing that it'll fall or land where it needs to vibrationally. One of the fourth principles of the I Am Discourses, personal responsibility and mastery, and this is a big one. Saint-Germain encourages individuals to take full responsibility for their thoughts, emotions, and actions by cultivating self-awareness and discipline. One can master the outer conditions of life and achieve greater harmony and success. When people are working from that victim consciousness, they do not want to accept the fact that everything that is occurring in their realm that they have created or miscreated, if it's something that's of a negative or lower vibration, they have created that themselves. And let me rephrase that. I have created that myself. No matter how much I want to blame Tim or anybody else for what's happening, everything, and I mean everything that is occurring in our existence or in your existence, you've created yourself. I say that's one of the most difficult ones, because when you tell people the illness or dis-ease that they're experiencing within their physical body, that they're responsible for that, it's like, what do you mean? I would not have done this to my body. I would not. You may not consciously know that that's what you've done, and that's part of what we're learning here as a center, and part of what these teachings are helping us to understand. I miscreate on an hourly, by the minute sometimes. But knowing, I just miscreated some things. I might need to revamp how I'm putting that out there. But if you don't know, you don't know. It's like I said, I listen to some of my friends talk now. My niece calls us the old lady gang. And it's amazing the number of maladies that we sit up and discuss. Oh, my knee is this hurting and that hurt. I'm like, oh my God, we are in this miscreation circle of sharing of energies, and before I leave, everything that's hurting on them is hurting on me. So knowing a lot of these things I think this is what this school, this center, this teaching facility is for, to help us learn so that as we walk out in the life, we're able to not only control what we're creating, but even by our walk, assist people. I was in a conversation yesterday because I went to a funeral, all day long thing. But the conversations that were occurring, I was able to transmute some of the energy because it was, like I said, a litany of the knee, the arm, the neck, all around the room. But I was able to take the volleyball and bounce it back in a different way. People didn't know, but honestly, the conversation had changed from a level of all of this stuff hurts, that we got to a place of let's focus on what's not hurting and what's good, and create more of that. And it doesn't always work, because when I try to get up out of this chair in a little bit, if y'all hear me up here groaning, but I know that the true essence of who I am is whole. It's just that getting my physical and my real to line up with one another is sometimes difficult.
I was just thinking, based off of the I am thing, I guess you really have to be careful, because you can acknowledge your pain, and I think it's important to acknowledge whatever type of pain you're having, whether it's emotional or physical, because once you acknowledge it, then you can take action and do something about it. But you really have to be careful to not say, I am,
Yeah.
I don't even want to say it, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
Don't claim it.
And, yeah, Jackie.
I would like to say that some of the miscreations did not occur in this lifetime, in this physical body. Some of them occurred before, but we're here to clean them up.
The other thing I was thinking about
Go
that,
for it.
Sandra, is...
Louder.
A little louder.
louder. I'm sorry. And I can project my voice more than that. One of the things that I was thinking about that I read in here that's been helpful to me when I realize that I'm sliding down that rabbit hole, or if I want to say something, there is a phrase, I withdraw all the energy from this. Even me saying it right now, I can feel it in my body. And I saw your face change when I said that too, Elaine. It's like, it does make a difference, because if we're committed to the light being a part of that and helping, then, we can't do our little dance on Sunday morning and then Sunday afternoon or Monday morning do it just the opposite. But we can, Taryn, say something about a situation when we're aware of that. We're not trying to put energy into that situation. We may want to acknowledge that so that, aha, here's what I need to do about it.
Exactly, and that was one of the things I was going to come back to what you said. When I say, I don't mean ignore. Pain in the body politic, the pain is an indicator to pay attention.
Yes.
So we need to be aware of the pain and where it's located, because our body is an antenna, and a very, very sophisticated antenna. So any pain or discomfort or dis-ease that we are experiencing in our body is showing up in a specific place for a reason. And like Dolores said, based on where and what is showing up, these are the things that we're trying to learn. What techniques need to be applied to it, and what emotional situation or circumstance has caused it. Because once again, everything, whether we want to admit it or not, and most of us would not, face it, when you're sick or you don't feel well, you don't want to think that you did that to yourself, but you did, whether you admit it or not. So getting better at understanding how and why and what. And I mean, I may not, I'm supposed to, but it's my body and I can talk about it if I want to. I developed cancer 3 times in my body. When this was happening, I did not, I was, why? The first time. The second time it was like, what? My hair? You gonna take that too? Okay, none of that, but I was not aware that any of this was me. So I didn't know what to do about any of it. And then the third time, I'm like, I was starting the spiritual journey, but still not knowing or understanding. But a little bit further down the road, I was told that I had MS. Because you know, if the doctor tells you something, it's true. And if they tell you that that's what's going on, it is true, because doctors are God's assistants. And they know this, and that's why they take that, I call it the hypocrite oath. But anyway, when they tell you something, it is the truth. And so they told me I had MS. I'm like, oh, okay, again, I'm the victim. But I was a little bit further along in my spiritual journey, and I kept hearing this, but your body is designed to self-heal itself. You are whole. I'm like, so why is this happening? And I mean, it had gotten to the point that it was, at one point, ramping up so quickly that I had gotten to the point I had to walk with a cane, because that's how bad things were getting. Because the doctor kept telling me, my neurologist kept telling me the lesions were bigger and they're here and they're there and it's this and this is going to cause this. And I believed them because they're doctors and they know more about our physiology than we do. But they don't know about Heartlight and the things we're learning here. And I said, well, okay, that y'all say A, but I don't believe that. I'm gonna start not believing it. And I'll just come and look at you and go, that's not true, that's not true. And last year, right before I got ready to go to Africa, because they did annual scans to make sure lesions were not active and there were no more of them anywhere. Right before I went to Africa last May, they did a scan. And I'm like, this is the yearly scan. So when I got back from Africa, which, Lord, I had to come back and bury my cousin. The doctor had left me this long, drawn-out voicemail message, the neurologist, you need to come in and see us right away. And I thought, oh my God, the lesion has eaten up my entire brain. I was just convinced that it was something bad or terrible. And I'm thinking, okay, all this time I'm whole, I'm healthy. And when I got there, she said, well, the last scan that we took, the lesions are gone, and we can't figure out, we want to make sure that they're really gone. So they did another series of scans. I had to lay in these machines while a panel of doctors looked at the scan, because they wanted to say that the scan technician made a mistake or whatever. But the doctors wanted to be there, and there were 5 of them, which there were scheduling differences. But anyway, they finally got it together where they were there to actually do the scans, the doctors. The lesions are gone, but doctors, because they know more than we do about our physiology, they couldn't accept, well, these lesions have just gone. They said, well, okay, it's something called transverse myelitis. Well, whatever, as long as the lesions are gone, I don't care what you call it. But they couldn't accept the fact, I mean, it took a lot. I didn't have to pay for any of this last stuff. But it was amazing to me how they just kept, what? But anyway, I say all that to say this. Little snippets of things that go on with our bodies as we learn who and what we are. We are children of the Most High. And when I say children, I mean offshoots. Everything that God is, we are. But learning to embrace that fully because of how and where we are in this third dimensional existence. And because there are things like doctors, and I'm not downing doctors, don't get me wrong. I chased one for a minute trying to get that boy to marry me, but he didn't. But in anything that doctors tell us, we've been conditioned that certain professions, because they are professionals, you got to pay attention to what they say to you people. And I'm not saying discount or ignore your doctors. I'm not saying that. But as we need to learn what works and is for our own selves. These principles that we're learning are what govern whether we want to accept it or not. Jackie?
I'd like to add to your doctor story. I have a cousin who was diagnosed with MS when she was in her 20s. And, you know, it was supposed to have been a very progressive case. She went to her doctor and he told her he was ordering a wheelchair for her. Now, if you believe it, you can achieve it. She said, no, I don't want and I don't need a wheelchair. She is in her 70s now. She has never had to use a wheelchair.
But like I said, knowing these things, please take this disclaimer. I'm not telling anybody to refute or ignore what your doctors are telling you. But also don't refute or ignore what God has placed in you. Learning how to work with those things and with common sense. Being aware of where the pain is showing up. Because it's not just showing up in certain places randomly. And when it's showing up in an area to make you pay attention to or to be aware of an emotion that in that energetic sequence that your body has caused a disruption of the energy flow. And that's where the word dis-ease comes from. It's a disruption of the flow in your physical being. But they've determined that breast cancer, when they do studies on breast cancer patients, male and female, they're able to track back to where those people's hearts were broken in some form or fashion, and in some way, because the heart chakra is here, that dis-ease in that flow of that particular energy center shows up in the body as breast cancer, lung cancer. These things that happen in our bodies in different areas, they're there for a reason. Ooh, miracles, I like that word. If I ever have another baby, and if I do, it will be a miracle. I was gonna name that baby Miracle, because yes. But let me go through these last two real quickly. Personal responsibility we talked about. Whether you wanna own it or not, just know whatever's occurring with you, you did it. The power of decrees and affirmations. The use of decrees, positive, authoritative statements declared with intention, is a central practice. These decrees, when spoken with conviction, are believed to command the energies of the universe to manifest the desired outcomes. They reinforce the connection to the I Am presence and help manifest divine will in daily life. What we say, words, vibration. What we think, vibration, not one that you can see or hear audibly, but everything that is occurring within us is resonating on a vibrational frequency. Yes. So when you say affirmations and you use your voice, not only are you putting it on a specific vibration, but you're telling your brain to put that same energy out. And when you do it with intention, the intent of creating specific things, you add power to it. Practical Applications and Spiritual Growth. Book 3 provides practical guidance on how to integrate these teachings into daily life. It includes instructions for meditative practices, affirmations, and visualizations designed to strengthen the connection with the I Am presence. Through constant practice, individuals are encouraged to cultivate inner peace, clarity, and spiritual strength, leading to personal empowerment and a deeper sense of purpose. And in conclusion, Saint-Germain and the I Am Discourse, Book 3, offer a profound spiritual framework aimed at personal transformation and enlightenment. By recognizing and invoking the divine presence within, practitioners believe they can transcend limitations, heal on multiple levels, and align with their highest potential. These teachings, rooted in ancient wisdom, yet practical for modern times, continue to inspire and guide those on the path of spiritual awakening. And I say that to say this in conclusion. I Am Discourse groups meet around the world on a daily basis. The books, there are 33 chapters in the book. We meet on Thursday mornings at 12 o'clock, and we read from the I Am Discourses, and at the end of that, we go back and the I Am statements that resonate, or if one resonates with you, we go back and read that I Am statement as a group, because the more power we can put to it as a group, it makes it more powerful. So I just encourage you, if this is something that resonates with you, and I say if, let the same mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus, who thought it not robbery to be equal with God. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandra.
I got on my appointment early, so I'm glad I made it, because it was wonderful to sit here and to take it in. I would like for us to do the I Am. Go ahead.
I Am Discourses?
Well, whatever we
This
do
one,
here.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we'll use our voice.
All right.
Be a good way to end our
And this
class.
is courtesy of Karen from her
Yes, thank you,
discussion
Karen.
once a month on Fridays.
Yes.
An instrument.
I am the violet flame in action in me now. I am the violet flame, to light alone I bow. I am the violet flame in mighty cosmic power. I am the light of God, shining every hour. I am the violet flame, blazing like the sun. I am God's sacred power, freeing everyone. Yes, thank you.
All right, we could
Can I
prepare to receive our support. Yes.
I just wanted to mention one thing at the end. Sandra was talking about our I Am Discourses group. There are those of us who have others of the books, so if there's anybody who is interested in focusing some light, one of them, for example, we do a release from hypnotic domination that we think really needs to be done here.
Where are you meeting?
So
We do it online.
Zoom.
Oh, you do it online?
Yeah.
Okay, this is online, so
It's
any of you can.
So I
Jump on there.
can text anybody, that particular one.
That's
if
a
they're
good one.
interested.
Well, again, I want to thank Sandra for stepping up and doing a wonderful job. I'm sure we're all understanding this a lot better as we continue to talk about it and to bring it more into our consciousness. Just hearing about something once in a while does not make it conscious. You've
Right.
really got to do it again and again and again to get it into the state of consciousness. So thank you for coming this morning, and we hope to see you Sunday for meditation at 10:30. Did you all do exercise today?
Yes, we
You
did.
did.
Qigong and weights
Good.
and stretching.
Right on.
Right.
I watched.
I watched. I hear.